Hello, I'm Chelly Costa, and I've been asked to talk to you about professional reinvention, specifically professional reinvention focused on the photography. I don't think that, I'm not sure the word is reinvention or is optimization or is the acceptation of the new business paradigm, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. What is this about the new business paradigm? There's something that has been around for a while. I will say some couple of years ago. I had published a book a couple of years ago, Feminine Leadership, that talked about everything that was coming regarding telework, more horizontal business, smallest payrolls. So it's something that is not a fashion thing. It is something that's here for stay. And in fact, the economy is cyclic. It's like a pendulum. We knew there's a crisis coming. We knew it was going to be a crisis in a different way because it's a crisis involving values, involving politics, involving a lot of different things. We didn't plan this pandemic. What is this about this new business paradigm? I will give you some notes so I can talk to you about it. But this is a crisis where that's why we talk about the feminine leadership. It's not a leadership that is exclusive for women. In fact, the subtitle of my book is For Men or Women. It is feminine regarding the feminine attributes that are highlighted. What is called in human resources soft skills. Like the empathy. In sales these days, the price is not enough. And that's why the personal brands are having a boom. Those are new brands that we empathize with and we admire. The best example are the influencers. We feel them like really close to us. It's like they were friends. That's why the influencers marketing, like putting a real face there, works a lot better than marketing itself. So the new business paradigm is a lot of emotional, and that changes everything. Change the relationship with our customers between the teams. The team gains power. We could say that because the new bosses. I have a business consultancy for the last 15 years with a 40 people team around the world. And so the millennial bosses, we have pushes for this change. And I want a team with power that it's able to make decisions and also even when it is autonomous, the business doesn't depend on me because then that's not a healthy business. For example, I studied journalism. I came from the radio world. When I used to have a good job position, I left that to make my own business. When I leave that, I live a totally dependent on me business. I used to live on releasing press notes, but on time you realize you need to diversify your business and have different business lines with different costs. So depending on the target, you will give more or less attention to the customers or marketing, and there are things that you will automatize. But part of the change of this new paradigm is this feminine part where we are fighting for a better way of living for the independent people and where the teams gains in power, and that also implies a change on the leaders because I don't believe anymore in the boss figure but instead of the leader. Here is a very interesting dance between what the boss really have to decide and what not. Participate on a study on the Yale University and where, for example, in the case of the women's, we give so much importance to the consensus and ask everybody his opinion and try to make some kind of consensus. Not everything has to be consensus. The urgent things that you have to go direct to it because at the end, the only thing that a boss cannot delegate is the strategic vision, where the business is going. But once this vision is created, we have to make the team fall in love with it. And the team has to gain in power the capacity of taking decisions. And also this team knows more and more about the business. If we have to emphasize or maybe know how to empathize with our customers. For example, when I hired some people for sales, I mean, there's not a sales department as itself, but when I put somebody to serve the customers, most of my girls, because they're mostly girls, they have psychological formation. They are coaches. They have this kind of profiles. because they empathize with our customers. They are not trying to sell something, they are trying to help. So this new business paradigm goes through this. For the boss, it's more like a mentor or like a coach accompanying you in your business career, and the worker goes up and takes responsibility. They learn a lot about the business, and also on those roles also change the conditions. Payrolls tends to get smaller, and also some professions tends to disappear. The new business model is linear startup. It's action result. There's no stop and think phase. We improve each other constantly. It's like a mobile app that always getting new versions and you update them. Well, that's the way business are. There's no phase where you stop and everything is already done. In fact, in 10 years, we're going to live through as much change as in the last 40 years. And we have to acknowledge and recognize the different phases where your business is going through. A lot of times I talked about the company and a business, and the autonomous people tells me this is not for me because you're autonomous, you have a business. Which are the phases of a business? When you begin, you are in the startup phase. You need to make your brand. You have to make a business line that identifies with yourself, a brand that sadly these days the people of marketing online sadly these days are giving us the idea that everything is a social network, and that's not the way it is. I am more of a public relationship at the time of create a brand, and with this I mean talks and seminars in strategic places where our target is the media. You give money for some people to recommend you. At the end you make your own web because the conversion is very low. In Spain, the online conversion are the 3% at the top. That's really low. So the public relationship is where you can give some values, where you're most connected with the people, and the online way is really slow, making in consideration that we have several different contacts with a brand, so you can make a bond of trust. So collaboration with ONGs, you can give your brand so much value. It's also really important the numbers, obviously, that's important in every phase. Here in Spain, we have no idea how to deal with the numbers, and a lot of times we don't give good prices. We see the competence and then we start the prices. We have the belief that is it not cheap, the people won't buy it. And actually, when you have your position on the market, you have to choose between being cheap or being a brand. For example, the iPhones. You change it even when you know that's not the best phone on the market. 6 p.m. you have no battery left, but you admire that brand. That's why it is important to know our numbers, put some realistic prices. Our price should be between 45 and 60 euros, taking in consideration our cost, or raw material, or coach, or codes, all the hours we, the autonomous people, dedicate to, because this is like a payroll. We have to charge each hour. Marketing, meetings, the time we spend with our customers, and from this point on, it is important to make like a combo. This price for each hour, it have to be an internal indicator, because the people on the street won't understand that, and from here on, you have to make a combo. I'm telling you, is this combo with this and this and this. We will follow up on WhatsApp, we were doing this and that. I like the case of some of our customers that, for example, they are wedding photographers, and what they do is that they do these previous meetings and they request some information to really know the family history and emotionally make a bond. So they do this previous meeting so they can know which is the most important person for the couple. So the day of the wedding, they give a special treat to these people that are really important for the wedding couple. So you see, it is different. They go to a brand. You can see that it's different, and so ever. That's why this is a feminine time. So these people really know how to empathize with the customer's necessities. There is a really interesting tool, Google Trends. It is free, and there you can see what people look for in internet. And hiring a photographer or look for prices on that service, it will give you clues that you have to make a different brand. When you have a problem, you tend to mix things up. If I have some anxiety on my head, there comes to me a psychologist, a psychiatrist, yoga, Reiki, everything mix it up. When I think about photography, I think about my brother-in-law. I think about some Instagrammer that takes pictures. So the criteria for good pictures is really different because people don't valorate that things. People want to buy a solution for a problem, and sometimes they ask us for something, but subconsciously they're asking for a different thing. I see it on our team. We have photographers. Most of the times, I see that the people that buy our services really are buying so they look pretty, or strategically they want to get to a different audience that with the actual pictures they can get there. So I need to reach a little more. I want to be better than the competition. There's something there that they're telling us. So it is really important to line it up or message or offer with this emotional part of the people and understand that we're not selling pictures. When I buy a body lotion, I am not buying a body lotion. I'm buying the result of that body lotion. So on this startup phase, it's super important that. So on the clean bin phase is where we can allow ourselves to introduce different and new business lines. There's a trend on group formations, info products. If we introduce that in a phase that is not right, we won't get the visibility and the community, and actually that won't work. The clean bin phase is also where we need to check that everything's okay. Is that phase where you are in like in an 80% of your capacity? You have to check yourself. What do you have to do? I get more people. I automatize, always checking the numbers, how much profit I want to make, what are my economic goals. And the last phase, well, at least I think it's the last one. It is the scalar phase. American thinks this is a phase where you waste your time. I don't know. I haven't been there in 15 years. I've been retired and a couple of months without working, but there's not at that phase where the business are going itself. Well, business is running alone, but I have to still create an innovative vision. That's why I believe I'm still on the scalar phase. Why do I highlight the 15 years? That's because most of the business don't get to 10 years. In Spain, 90% of the business don't get to the 10 years. 50% dies on the first year. The 10 years are like the round trip of a business, where they have passed through all phases. But what is my challenge? There's always a new challenge. In this case, the challenge is to saturate. When they offer me too much interviews on the media or congresses or things like that, I am too exposed on social media. I'm afraid I may saturate and devaluate my brand. For example, what happened with Starbucks. That used to be a premium product, but now there's too many and there's one in each city. Devaluate the appreciation of the brand. So those are the three business phases that today's business run. As I told you, we're living this new business paradigm where the emotional thing is really important, where we need to know where we are, where there's a change in the relationship between the teams, and where the relationship with the customers also change in the way that we need to listen much more to them. You have seen all the emotional thing that there is implied, as we usually do. For example, on the tourist world, which is a real square sector, like the real estate world, well, they understand that they don't know everything, that things are really different now. That the important thing is that you pick a travel destination because of the pictures that you will make for what you're going to feel in that place, and know that the 85% of the buying decisions are emotional. So on the tourism world, they realize that, well, there are things like the motorhome that makes you feel like you're in home. You live new experiences. That there's a audience that needs to. That it is really important the ethical buy, pick a destination or another by ethical reasons. And what the tourism world are doing is that in a really humbly way is to really say I don't know how to do it. And so there are really big brands like Accor or Melia that are making focus groups with businessmen and customers. Meetings, we could do it also with interviews, but mostly reunions with customers. Customers and businessmen. What I always told to my clients is have a seat with your ideal customer. Is that one that pays and pays again, that don't complain, that don't spend too much time on attention, that recommends your services. So take a seat with your ideal customer and get to know him. Take a look at what blogs they read, making interviews, what's their favorite media, what influencers or opinion leaders they follow up, what kind of professional they had, because you can make a collaboration. There may be a commission in the way, but we need to know what is their daily routine? Because today's society is divided on who has the time and who has the money. You can get to who has the time with strategies like paying marketing or Google Ads, for example, like with keywords that you're searching and they get there. And then you get people like me or my team that we don't have the time. You will never get to us that way. Most of us don't even have social network accounts. We don't use that. Most of us don't even have Wi-Fi until Netflix appears. I don't even have a table in my house, and we share that with our team and with people in our level at business time. If you want to get to people like us, you won't do it via internet. So we have to know the way of life of our customers. So get to him in a way or another. If you want to get through me, you have to do it like a professional school or on network events or in business agreements. So it's it. We need to change our relationship with our customers and become more one-on-one. And more changes. I understand you don't have many infrastructure in business, most of you, but well, to speak about it, so with the disappearing of the payroll, it appears to be now an ultra entrepreneurs. That means that it could be different entrepreneurs working together under the same brand, nothing to do with independent people or nothing illegal. For example, in my team, there's a mixture of independent people and payroll. They can make their choice. We are a happy team, and people may decide how they want to work. Everybody works from home, as always. Each one may choose the salary, everything. That's an ultra entrepreneur that have this power of choice. So what's for me on this? A lot of more flexibility on the business. People are independent, earns a lot of more money because of the taxes, but as well because of the independent worker have to accomplish four phases. Obviously, you have to be a really good photographer, but you also have to know how to sell. You have to know about marketing. You have to know how to empathize with the people and give value of what you're doing and make people see how their life will change with these pictures. I'm not selling you some pictures, I'm selling you the solution of that problem. We have to be managers in a way that we have to know how our numbers doing. I don't know much about numbers. I study Latin, but truly I know what are my goals. I know how are my costs doing. There's a minimum I have to know. And we have to be visionaries. Marketing is always changing. I remember one time where in the photography business that was this boom of vintage photography. There were some brands that get on that move and then went away. So you have to be smart and be always a step before for your customers and read the tendencies. That implies if you work for 8 hours, you won't be 8 hours taking care of customers. If you take care of your customers in a 10% of your time, that's a lot. Because now you're a businessman, you're not a photographer, and you have to change your chip. And you need time to think and to analyze where things are going. If we play the role of a trademark, we may step behind. There was a time where we were positioned as a brand for marketing online, and we take a step beside from there because that wasn't good for the business that was coming. We knew something new was coming. Well, that's my point about ultra entrepreneurs. I don't want to take much longer on this subject. As you may see, I've been talking about diversification. Most of the companies today are really diversified on different business lines that became a sales factor from the cheapest, from the cost, from less customers' attention to the most, from less marketing to more marketing. We need to do things this way to make this bond of trust we need, but also to get to know the customer, the most the better, and with cross-selling between business lines. That wasn't like that on the old days. We didn't have to sell. If you were a carpenter, if you were a photographer, there wasn't that much competition. We didn't need to dominate as much. Today, you have to really think through everything. The market is a really critical one. People have a lot of information. That's why you have to diverge on your business lines, but also diversification on your types of marketing, online and offline. That was telling you before. Because sometimes the premium customer you get it on a presential way, your business type, online or offline, that you might have this flexibility. If you don't do that and you get confined at home, you might have a rough time. That's why it's so important to diversificate, to find different ways of get money. You might have commissions, you might have info products, but don't put all your eggs in one basket. On these days, you cannot do that. On these days, you have to have a lot of information. You have to know a lot about business. It's not that easy as they used to be. Diversification, for example, on the time we spend on giving value to your brand and to sale. Marketing and sales are different phases of your business. Of the 100% of your time, only you can sell on a 20% of that time. More ideas I like to share. As you may see, the strategic subject is super important. Your vision on a short, medium, and large term. In moment of a crisis like this, you have to work on a quarterly manner, but without losing your vision. I mean, short steps, but without losing your vision on a mid or a large term. And more than ever, take care of your numbers. Forgive me for being so insistent in this one, but this is one of the biggest mistakes people make. When you're not clear in your numbers, the taxes in some of the cases, maybe we think you have people for do that, but a consultant doesn't read the numbers. They may tell you which line of business gives you the more money, and for example, which line of business you have to reinforce on the media. Because if you only use the 20% of your time on sales, you cannot spend time promoting an ebook. You should spend your time promoting the most expensive service. And so when people go to your web, they will go on your big interest. But we need somebody to tell us that. Which business lines are the better for us? Or which is our ideal target? For example, YouTube strategy doesn't work for me. Most of the people that came to my YouTube channel are from Latin America. And they spend a lot of my time of customers' attention, and that doesn't pay my bills. And finally, they spend their money on cheap things. It is really important to discover our strengths. That will give us our differential value and do things in a different way. I always say that today's problems are tomorrow's money. People always getting different and new ways to get money. In my case, I used to sell press notes, and I thought that that wasn't working for me. Next, I began to sell communication plans. I saw that no one was willing to pay 1,500 or 2,000 euros, which was what they had told me that it was worth. So I reinvented myself, looking for the psychologist world. So I started selling consultant services on marketing, and today I have 50,000 clients around the world. This format wasn't invented on the Latin world. So reinvent yourself more than ever. And this is a great time to reinvent yourself because the crisis makes everybody open to innovation. It may seem like a lot of work. I know you feel like you're an artist, and I know you are. I have taught many photography classes, and I know you don't like that. I know you say, this is art. You can't commercialize art. You shouldn't commercialize art. But this is the country we are in. What can I tell you? But sometimes between getting upset and do things, you have to find the point in the middle and make yourself a living. Some more ideas. Connect with a primary necessity. When things get robbed, people stop using some kind of services. Maybe they could sell you some lipstick, or maybe they could sell you the lipsticks that will make you get the job of your dreams. It's a different way of see it. Get in touch with your numbers because things change really quickly. In times like today, we have to increase our cost because of you have to wear protection suits. Be flexible. On the next 10 years, the thing is flexibility. If you don't do that, you will become useless. People then won't adapt, not because of their age or because of their formation, but because of the square head. This is not for me, this is not for me, COVID will pass by, and protocols. Systematize your business. You have to organize your things. When to do A, when to do B, when to do C. Automatize as much as you can. For example, your hours or customers' reminders or your bills emissions, and that implies professionalization. For example, a software for customers management that gives you the possibility of filter and personalize the communication with your customers according to the kind of customer it is and give it a personal way even though it is automatized. I don't want to spend so much time on this because I think this has have been enough. If you need anything else, we are here. Make an appointment with us. We can give you 15 minutes of free consulting. It's time to go. That's the alarm telling me that is enough. So we invite you to the free consultant for whatever we can help you with. The return of the money is not the only important thing for us. There is some emotional return. You need to be with your people in times like this. This is also really from the new business paradigm. I hope we may inspire you that you make some click. We Latin people says what chokes you changes you. If you hear something that you didn't like, maybe there's something that you need to change and just serve as an inspiration. Give it a try. Hope it served to inspire you. Thank you.